What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Your Story. We're here with Justin Day from Detailers of Las Vegas in Las Vegas, Nevada. The cool part is we're actually right next to the Las Vegas airport, so you're probably going to hear some planes taking off and landing. That's completely fine. I like seeing it in the background. I think it's a pretty bad spot to have.
Love it.
Yeah, so welcome, and thanks for being part of this.
Thanks for having me.
The drink of the day, give us the lowdown on it.
Today I chose the Baltimore Blonde because my wife and I grew up in Baltimore. I was a firefighter in the city there, and it still holds a very close place in my heart. A lot of our family is still back there, and a lot of our friends, and we go back at least once a year, so I miss the seafood, and the people, that's about it.
Yeah, people are great there.
But it was a nice place to grow up, so.
And our brother, my brother Nick and Reed lived there for multiple years, so we got to go up to Fells Point a lot.
Nice.
And it's just a cool place there.
Oh yeah.
I love Baltimore.
Definitely.
So especially Guinness too. I think if I'm not mistaken, the Guinness factory in Baltimore is the only one on the state side that's a Guinness approved brewery.
That I couldn't tell you.
Well, hopefully I'm right on that one.
But cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers, brother. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me.
So another cool thing too that you'll notice is we got two pups here right now. This is Lily, and then you'll see Jane as well. Jane's your best friend.
Yeah.
As I like to say, and then Lily's the other shop dog who just licks Jane's face all day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great way. But they'll be popping in and out through the shoot as well.
Definitely.
So I've been extremely excited for this. I'm not gonna lie, for your story, because you've had a tough upbringing, and then to get to where it started. I shouldn't say tough upbringing, but you went through some things, and to get through that to where you are today is something I don't think many people would be able to do.
Right.
So can we start? Like, you talk about kind of your childhood and
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up from good stock. I had good parents. My dad was a construction worker, really hardworking. My mom, worked in a restaurant at nighttime, and it just they were really good people. We grew up in a pretty decent part of town, and I just kind of decided to go my own way. My parents separated when I was about 9, and I chose to stay with my dad, who didn't really discipline me a whole lot. So I, did whatever I wanted to, came and went as I pleased, and kind of got involved with drugs and stealing cars and stuff like that, and ended up getting put away in a juvenile facility. It started in a boot camp, and I escaped from there and ran from South Mountain, Pennsylvania, back to Baltimore. Eventually turned myself in, and that's when they really threw the book at me. Put me behind 2 fences with razor walls, all the good stuff. But towards the end of my stay, I was able to get put in a community reintegration program where they got me a job in a body shop. And originally, I just was supposed to, go there to clean cars, but I kind of learned how to detail through, the school of hard knocks, them being really difficult on me, and me not having a choice to say anything back or get flip. So that's where I kind of honed in my detail skills. I started to do well, so they had me start doing other things like edging in panels, painting the undersides of hoods before they were mounted, cutting in door jambs and stuff like that. And when I came home, I went into the fire department and was in the fire department for about 3 years. And it was great, but it just wasn't for me. I don't really enjoy, I should say that I guess I got like a big heart. I'm very empathetic for people who are hurting and in pain, and I just don't like seeing that on a daily basis. I like seeing people happy. I like seeing people proud. I like seeing people, excited to see what I do. And, although everybody was happy to see us when we showed up, it wasn't, it didn't always end great. So I moved on, and from there I moved to Ocean City, Maryland, and worked at Secrets.
oh my God, the best bar in the States.
Bartended at Secrets for the summer of 2005, from about May until September. September, Labor Day, everybody goes home. The city goes from 500,000 to 10,000 people. Me, I had this hot little Honda car, like I pulled over every single day. I was just like, man, I can't be here anymore, and I want to go where the party never ends. And Vegas was just an opportunity. My parents had moved here the year before, and I had visited and liked it, and was in an opportunity to relocate. So I just asked my mom to go meet a couple people that I had found on Craigslist, and she ended up meeting 3 or 4 of them and told me that I'd probably get along with one guy, and that's who I chose. I sold all my stuff, packed up my car. I had a 2-door Pontiac Grand Prix GTP, and packed up my dogs, sold everything I had, and left. And I cried to Ohio, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, I cried for the first day pretty much. I knew I was, when I moved away to Ocean City and I spent some time in York, Pennsylvania, those were all very close to Baltimore. So I could run back at, the drop of a hat. If things got bad, if they got rough, I missed my mom, I wanted to see my friends, I could just run back. And I knew that if you drive for 4 days, it's a 5-hour flight or a 4-day drive. You can't just turn around and run back. And at that point in my life, I wasn't very good at upholding responsibility.
How old were you at the time?
I was 23.
Okay.
So I wasn't very good at upholding responsibility. I kind of just made enough money to get by. But thankfully, when I moved out here, I got a job in a really good restaurant with a huge wine selection, and I became really good with wine and selling. I kind of tweaked my service, obviously from the secret style to a fine dining atmosphere. In 2008, the economy kind of dropped out, obviously, as you probably remember. Vegas was one of the worst cities hit. I mean, we're all about expendable income. If you don't have extra money, you're not coming to Vegas, and we don't have any natural resources. There's no mining here. There's no, manufacturing here. It's just entertainment. City to city across the board, entertainment. So entertainment's always the first thing to go when money's tight. So I ended up going from about $350, $400 a night in tips to $78, then $58, then $18. Then I was lucky to make $8 a night. The owner of the restaurant had started serving tables as well. It was a total shit show. And I packed up and went back to Baltimore.
You were 23 at the time.
Yep, I had been here for about 9 months and was just didn't think, it wasn't for me. I was like, you know what? I tried it. I came. I saw. I conquered. I'm leaving. Problem was, when I got back to Baltimore, it only took me about an hour or two, and I was like, shit, what did I do? What did I give up? I gave up my sunshine, my clear sky, my palm trees, my beautiful weather, my being able to get any kind of food at 24 hours a day. When I went into a bar, they're like, last call. I'm like, last what? Wait, what? What is that again? Oh, yeah, that's right. They closed the bars here. So it was just different going back, and everybody's happy to see you at first, but after a while, they're just all still doing their same old thing, and, you fall back into the same old grind as you were. And while you do say I love the people, there's more to life than just surrounding yourself with people, I think. And so I decided to move back. I worked my butt off while I was there. I hung drywall. I worked in a restaurant. I worked sun up till sundown, and plus that, and I came back in about 2.5 months. So I got back here.
Oh, you were only home in Baltimore for 2 months?
Yeah, over the summer.
Just working side jobs?
Yep.
Jump back in?
Yep.
Cool.
I had enough to move back here, so I came back. And when I got back here, things were kind of progressing a little bit. That was 2009. Was here for about 9 months and ended up meeting a girl back home in Maryland. Went back again. Was there for about a year. And I had told her in the beginning, I was like, listen, Vegas is where I want to be. I want to be with you, but Vegas is ultimately where I want to be. And I had told her that, we have a year. I'll give you a year back there, and if we're doing well, then you can move out here. If not, then I'm going to go back. Ended up that year came, and I was like, well, I'm headed back. What's your story? And she had basically told me over and over and over, like, okay, I'm going to come on this day. Okay, I'm going to come on this day. And, the day would come, and her phone would be off, and I wouldn't be able to get in touch with her all day. I mean, this happened probably 10 times. And finally I was like, you know what, I'm done. And I was here in Vegas waiting for her. And at that point, my parents were moving. So I decided to move to Long Beach, California. I was like, you know what, I don't have anything here. I want to live 10 blocks from the beach. My mentor out there had a space for me to stay in. And I was like, you know what, I'm done. So I packed up my stuff here and moved to Long Beach, and I was there for about 3 weeks, and the girl that I was dating called me and was like, I'm in California, I'm here, I'm ready to stay. And I was like, what the heck? Like, okay, cool, I'll come pick you up. So I came, picked her up. Well, it turned out she was only there for a wedding. And, I brought her back to my place, and she's like, I really want to be with you. I know that you wouldn't talk to me if I didn't tell you that I was going to be here. I just have to go back on, Tuesday and get the rest of my stuff, and I'll be back. And I'm like, nope, save it. Like, I'm over it. Once you leave, we're done. Incidentally, that night, 3 guys broke into my place, and I ended up having to wrestle around with them. And I had to use my firearm and shot one of them.
Was she there for this?
Yeah. So, after that happened, I screamed, bring me a towel, call 911, and she came out kind of wrapped in a sheet and with the phone and a towel, and she's crying, and the guy's dying, and, one of my dogs is biting the guy in the face. I'm, pulling her off, telling her good job, but at the same time, like,
Yeah.
It's just a really, really crazy situation. The police ended up coming and, putting me in handcuffs. I had the guy's blood all over me for hours until they took me to the police station and, like, finally took pictures of me and let me wash the blood off. Like, I was freaking out. It was one of the worst days of my entire life. Not to mention, I thought I was probably going to prison because,
Did the guy break in?
Yeah, he was in my bedroom. And I started wrestling with him, and then 2 other guys came in the door and started kind of hitting and punching me from the back, and I just broke loose, got to my nightstand, grabbed my gun, took some steps back, and told him to get out. 2 of the guys kind of backed out, and the other guy kind of walked at me, and I shot him once. He, like, looked down, touched his chest, saw blood, and came at me again, and I shot him 2 more times, and at that point, he, like, kind of ran out the door, like, kind of stumbling. And I didn't remember at the time, but later the police said the footage said that I was, like, the video footage, I was right behind the guy with my hand on his back, kind of pushing him out the door. I don't remember any of that. But yeah, so anyways, that was a crazy deal. They finally, that happened at about 5:45 in the morning, and
Were they trying to break in to steal anything? Or?
I think they were on drugs, man, just like high, and it was 5:45 in the morning. I'm not sure they really even knew what they were doing, honestly.
Was it California?
It was in Long Beach, California.
Damn.
Yeah, so I wasn't, it was just really strange that people were trying to get in your place, but, like, they didn't seem like they were in the right mind. You know what I mean? Like, the guy, it was just a really weird situation. So, but, obviously I feared for my life and had to do what I had to do to protect me and her. Yeah. So ended up, they took me down to the police station, interviewed her, interviewed me again, interviewed her again.
Did she get taken to the police station as well?
Just brought down, like, to be interviewed, not like me. I was, like, detained essentially and just freaking out. Like, these dudes broke into my place. I got this dude's blood all over my body, and yet I'm in handcuffs. And again, it was just a scary situation. But once they said, all right, we're gonna take you home and allow you to go, I was like, whew, okay. So I went home and I told him, I was like, just so you know, I'm moving back to Vegas. Like, I'm packing my stuff today. I'm going to the MotoGP race in Laguna Seca, and when I get back, I'm leaving. And they're like, all right, well, you can go to Vegas as long as you leave us your address, yada, yada, yada. Well, the next day, I'm sitting there loading up my bike and So as I'm in handcuffs, the girl that was there and was leaving that day came up to the police car, and I was like, Sarah, please stay. Like, just don't leave me in this. Like, help me get through this, and I'll move anywhere. Like, I don't care if you want me to move back to Baltimore or Jamaica or wherever. I'll move anywhere. Just don't leave. And she said okay, and she didn't. When I came home from the police station, like, obviously I gave her a huge hug and thanked her for staying, and I was like, we'll get through this. Like, tomorrow we'll figure out flights back home to get your car and yada yada. And she looked at me in my face and said, Justin, I changed my flight until tomorrow morning. And right then I just knew that, okay, like, this was over. That chapter of my life was getting closed, and I was moving forward, because anyone that could leave someone at a time like that where they're kind of just in pieces. I mean, this is my rock bottom in life, and I just finally accepted that it just wasn't going to happen, and I was like, okay, and it's not going to happen, and thankfully so, because, 4 years later, I met my wife, and we were getting ready to welcome a baby boy into the world in January. So, everything happens for a reason.
Wow.
It just takes a little bit to understand.
You got that right.
So when I moved back from Long Beach, I started my detailing business here out of the back of a little Mazda B2000, I think.
Did you know you were going to come to Vegas, though? Because you were between, or was it basically where, her name was Sarah, right?
Yeah, when Sarah left that day, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to Vegas, and I'm just going to restart my life there.
And there was no court system you had to go through or anything with
No, incidentally, they had called me. I moved back to Vegas, and about 2 months later, they called me and said, Justin, this is Detective Broadbent from, Long Beach Police Department. We just wanted to reach out and tell you that the district attorney finally, ruled it as self-defense, and you're good to go.
That was it?
No, that wasn't it. I'm like, when can I pick up my gun?
Oh, because they took it.
Damn right. So he's like, you want your gun? I'm like, damn right. So he's like, whatever, what's your email address? I'll send you a paper. You have to have your background check in 30 days, and you have to come pick it up within like 20 days of having that done. Otherwise, it's staying in the evidence locker. I was like, no worries. So I went, had my background done, took a nice little leisurely trip out to California, collected the gun that saved my life.
You still have it?
Home. Damn right.
What kind of gun is it?
It's actually a Ruger P95.
Wow.
It's a 15-round magazine, which is why I really thought I was in deep shit in California, because there's a 10-round magazine.
Right? What's 10?
10-round magazine.
Is it 9 mil?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it saved your life.
Yeah, it did.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Did the guy end up passing away?
The guy's actually paralyzed from his neck down. I think I'd rather be dead.
Did he ever come back later and say, this is why I broke in?
Mm-mm.
Nothing?
Mm-mm.
Never heard about him?
No, they had figured out who one of the guys was and called him while I was in the back of the police car. Or maybe he called 911, I think, and said that someone shot his friend. I think, however, they found one of them. And the cop was like, you need to come back here right now. He's like, where are you? He's like, I'm about 30 minutes away. The cop's like, you need to come here now. And he never came.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was a very, very crazy experience. I was like, I'm out.
Have you ever shot your gun prior to that, or had to handle a situation like that where you pulled it out?
Mm-mm. No, I've never pulled a weapon on anyone.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've definitely shot. I mean, I've
well, yeah,
a lot of experience. Yeah, a lot of experience with shooting, but I'd never had to utilize my weapon to protect myself.
Do you remember? I mean, you don't remember the video of you pushing the guy up, but do you recall any of what happened when you had to pull the gun after that? I just know, you hear stories of guys' adrenaline going crazy.
Yeah,
in situations like that.
What was interesting enough is the detective told me that I only shot the guy twice, and I'm like, no, I shot the guy 3 times. He's like, well, they only found 2 shells. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, I shot the guy 3 times. Well, when I went back to my place, next to where I was standing was about 3 Rubbermaid containers, and on top of that was 4 or 5 Ravens jerseys all folded up, just sitting on top of them. And I found that shell in between those jerseys, that shell casing.
Wow. Did it burn it? Burn the jersey?
Mm-mm. No.
Look at that. Ravens saved it.
Yeah, I was literally like pulling out the jerseys, shaking them out, and I was like, ding, ding, ding. I was like, that's something that I still have to this day, too.
Saved your life.
Yeah.
That's great.
It is crazy.
Wow.
But, all that led me back here. And it all led me to, getting started in what originally was 2 Boxers mobile detailing. I started 2 Boxers mobile detailing
to
feed my 2 Boxers at the time. Yeah. Yep. They were the most important thing to me. And I didn't know anything about marketing or business or anything. I just knew that I had a water tank and a pressure washer and a vacuum, and I could detail the hell out of some cars. And that's what I did. I would go around and plug into people's power and plug into people's water and fight through the hard water. And, eventually we would I would just evolve slightly each time. Once, with a generator, then with, a shampooer, then with a nicer vacuum, and eventually it led to me being in the back of a van. I built out an E350 van. I think I got the van for $2,000, like $1,900. I went to wash it on a mobile wash, and I'm like, what are you doing with this? He's like, I'm going to sell it. I bought it to take it to Burning Man. I'm done. Like, I don't need it anymore. I'm like, how much you want for it?
So it's got some stories if it went to Burning Man.
Oh, yeah. It had 200,000 miles on it when I got it. A lot of stories. Yeah. So I was like, well, how much you asking for? He's like, $2,000. I was like, all right, well, you're supposed to pay me $100. Let's just call it $1,900, and I'll take it. He's like, okay. So I picked up that van, and I built everything out. I had all my reels in the back, air, water, vacuum, everything was set up really, really nice. Then I got the side wrapped. And then I met my wife, and when she moved here from Baltimore, then I really started to get serious. You know, I had a serious girlfriend that I wanted to provide for, that I wanted to, you know, be mature and grown for. She had been married before. I had never been married before. So, you know, I guess she kind of influenced me to level up my game. And even when she would come to visit, she would, you know, come and detail cars with me on the weekends and then go back to Baltimore and work and then come back here. But when she finally moved here in June of 2016, that's when, you know, like I said, we really started getting serious. My business went from, I don't know, maybe $40,000 a year to $125,000 a year in 2017. And those are all mobile washes, like maybe one or two paint corrections, like all mobile washes and details.
Well, $100 a pop?
No, we were up to about 150, 200 by then, but yeah, I started
Still
at like $100 a pop,
Yep.
$80 a pop, full details. But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because you think in the beginning, like, okay, I'm going to start my prices low and then I'm going to bump my prices up. But the problem is when you start your prices low, you develop that clientele that wants that low price. And when you up your price, even $5, you lose 80% of that clientele. So you just wasted that year, however long you spent building that clientele. Some will still hang on for $5 more. They won't hang on for $20 more. Mm-hmm. Once you go from 30 to 50, or, you know, 30 to 40 to 50, they just start kind of dropping off. But the good thing is if you're good and you know how to market yourself and you know how to present yourself and talk to clients and sell yourself, you can start meeting those upper level clients as you're doing the medium or lower level clients' vehicles, right? Because they all come by, they see you're in a uniform, they see you're in a truck with a nice wrap on it, you know, and they're like, wait a minute, my guy doesn't have a truck like that. He just works out of the back of his pickup truck, and he doesn't have a uniform, you know,
Yeah.
and he doesn't have his number on the side. He spray painted mobile car wash on the side of a trailer, you know, on a 2x6 or a piece of plywood, you know, and so that was originally what set us apart. And obviously, like me and my wife being a team, people really liked that, and we worked really well together. She did really well on interiors, and I did, you know, my thing on the exterior, and we could knock, you know, an express wash out together in about 20-25 minutes on a, you know, large SUV. Like, we were just killing it. But, you know, we do 8, 10, 12 a day. By the end of the day, you know, Vegas weather, we're cooked. You know, we were both tan, we were both ripped to shreds. But we worked really, really hard, and, you know, we were proud of what we did, and we got to go out on our boat, you know, all the time as much as we wanted to, and enjoy life. So fast forward to SEMA 2017, I had reached out to Chris West from Solution Finish, and I was like, hey Chris, I don't know if you're coming to SEMA, but, you know, I've tried your stuff before. I was wondering, at this point, like, I was not an order online guy. I'm gonna go to the detail shop, get what I need, pick it up in my hand, and walk away, right? I had no idea that there were, like, websites out there with wholesale pricing and you know, professional pricing, or whatever you want to call it, but you shouldn't be spending MSRP on your detailing products if you own a detailing business, right?
Yep.
So reached out to Chris, said, hey, just want to, you know, pick up some stuff from you. If you could bring me a couple bottles, you know, I'll meet you at the show and buy them from me. He's like, okay. He's like, are you going to Rennie Doyle's party? And I'm like, I didn't know about a party. He's like, well, it's on Wednesday night. It's at the Mirage at whatever bar. He's like, don't tell anybody I told you. I'm like, okay. So I ended up going to SEMA that year, and I went to SEMA with the direction and the directive of staying in the detail hall. I didn't want to meet Chip Foose. I didn't want to take pictures with the models. I didn't need posters. I didn't need calendars. I didn't need koozies. I needed to advance myself in the detailing industry, and there was no other place that I could do that but in the North Hall of SEMA.
Yep.
So I was able to kind of go around to all the booths and spend time and introduce myself. You know, I walk up to people. I'm Justin Day. This is my wife Hillary Day. You know, we own Two Boxers Mobile Detailing here in Las Vegas. What do you do? What do you have? And we learned, you know, we switched products and talked to some suppliers that we thought we were going to align with, and then we realized that we didn't want to align, you know, and it's a learning game, really, but you can't do it from home. You just can't. You got to get out there. You got to see the new products. You got to see what's upcoming. There's always new and easier ways to do things. I mean, people are coming up with things every day. And if you shelter yourself like I did for so long and thinking that, okay, I know how to detail, there's nothing else anyone can teach me, I'm just going to do it my way, you're just going to make things harder on yourself. So with that said, we went to Rennie Doyle's party, and as I walked in the front door, the room's kind of shaped like a U. As you walk in, there's tables on the right that line the whole exterior, and then there's tables in the middle. And I literally walked in the door, and I saw the first person I saw, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Justin Day. I own Two Boxers Mobile Detailing here. This is my wife, Hillary. Hi, I'm Justin Day. This is my wife, Hillary. Hi, I'm Justin Day." And I literally shook everyone's hand all the way around that room. I must have met 150 people. I didn't remember any names. But by the time I got to Rennie, he was like, I watched you. He's like, I watched you walk in here and work this whole entire room. He's like, it's pretty impressive. He's like, who are you? Where'd you come from? I'm like, well, I'm just a mobile detailer here in Las Vegas. This is my wife, and this is what we do, and we kind of took a liking to them, and, kind of kept in touch with them and kept in touch with a lot of people, Ed Twillinger, just a lot of influential people that kind of took us under their wing. Jason Rose, we would go to Rupes once a year to visit and train. But yeah, so when we left SEMA that year, we were like, okay, now we know what direction we want to go in. And we met two guys in Scottsdale, Arizona, Chris and Christian Parker. They own Detail Boss. And these guys are awesome. I mean, they are just the epitome of pro. Yep. When I met them, I looked on their website. I'm like, this is who I want to learn from. This is what I want my shop to look like. This is what I want my brand and my awareness to feel like. So I reached out to him. I was like, hey, we met at SEMA. I don't know if you remember. He's like, yeah, I remember you. I was like, is there any way you could teach us how to, could you train us on Ceramic Pro? And he's like, let me find out through Ceramic Pro, and I'll get back to you. So he called me back. He's like, yeah, they said we could teach you, no problem. I was like, cool. So I'll come down. We ended up setting a date. We went down, stayed there for 2 days. We coated, I think, 4 or 5 cars, 2 sets of wheels, did 2 annual inspections. So we learned it all the way through. I see some trainings nowadays where there's 40 people in a room, there's one guy talking, and, there's rows of people, and it's just like everybody's trying to get over everybody's shoulder. Everybody's got a camera held up, and it's not very personal. It's not very hands-on. You get to use this product for 5 or 10 minutes, and other than that, you're watching and you're listening. Like, you don't learn how to do a ceramic coating by watching. You just don't. You don't learn what a high spot looks like, what a low spot looks like, what a smear, a smudge, a rainbow. You don't understand why it's doing that. You don't understand flash time and curing time. You have to actually understand these things to fully be able to offer the coating and promise what they're meant to be for. I hear these people promising, scratch protection, chip protection. I'll tell you right now, it's a lie. Ceramic coatings have one job, and it's to keep the car looking cleaner, longer. Simple. And, I hear people selling this stuff as this magic, glass coating that you put on your car, and that would be great if you were spraying it on and letting it cure, but we're just wiping it on, wiping it off. It's the scale is like so minute on, paint finish versus paint protection. I try to be as realistic and honest as I can, So with that said, we kind of misaligned with that company and we went somewhere else. Now we use CS2. It's the only self-healing coating available in the US. There's only about 90 or 95 installers worldwide. You have to train with the guy to be able to buy the stuff. And if you have problems, issues, questions, he's always there to answer it. It's never well, that's an installer issue, send it back to them. Because that's the last thing you want to tell one of your installers if you're a coating company, right? Because right there you're saying, if it's an installer error, we're stepping back. We have no responsibility in this. But they paid you $800 to train them and certify them. So what exactly does that piece of paper mean? There's So there's a lot of confusion across the detailing industry of what's good, what's bad, and and thankfully we've been able to kind of make our own decisions over the years, and been able to align with good brands. But anyways, after coming back from Detail Boss, I had a mission. I had a mission. I had a picture, a vision, and that was what I was gonna do. So we actually moved into a spot across the street, and I kind of modeled my shop as close to or whatever I could afford to make it look like their shop, And over time, my wife and I would detail during the day, and we'd paint part of a wall, after work, and then we'd detail the next day during the day, and then, hang some molding in the office the next day or that evening. It was constant work, and it actually kind of drove a wedge in between my wife and I, because you can't work with someone all day long and then go home and lay next to them and enjoy their company. It's just different, and or at least for some people. For me, I enjoy being away from my wife during the day, going home to her at night. I miss her. I want to be near her then, and it just wasn't like that towards the end of her working here. So we decided that she was going to work somewhere else. I was going to continue on with the business, and I hired like one of my best friends. He worked with me for about a year and a half, taught him as much as I could, and our views kind of misaligned, and he went his own way and now works for someone else, which is okay. It hurt at first. I was super upset, but now I just realize everything happens for a reason, and just keep on trucking. So in June we moved into this shop, and ever since we've been kind of just building it out day by day and getting ready, and tonight we host our annual SEMA party.
Woo!
Can't wait.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. So there's a lot to dive into here, right? Yeah. So can we go back to the personal life at first?
Sure.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
At least the beginning, because you're at a young age, it's. I mean, as you just spoke for this little bit, it's an incredible journey you've had, and I'm super proud of you, because going from basically some of those things you've gone through in life would put people down, but to build this and to do it with the wife and another child on the way, and it's a powerful message that you've sent right there. So
Thanks.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you.
But when you were younger, especially growing up, because your mom and dad, they separate, and then you lived with your dad, and then you got into the trouble. How did that progress? I mean, obviously he wasn't.
So my dad was a construction worker.
Yeah.
He worked from 5 in the morning until 6 at night, and when he came home, he was tired. He would have a 6-pack of beer or 4 or 5 beers, lay on the couch, watch TV, and fall asleep. We lived in a row home in Baltimore. You know how the row homes are. And my room was in the basement, and I had a sliding glass door. So I would come and go as I pleased.
That would take you outside?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I would come and go as I pleased. I would have people come in. We would do drugs downstairs. I got my house raided a couple times. I got my dad locked up. And
from the use?
So, yeah, my house was raided twice. The first time, someone had escaped juvenile detention and was at my house and made a phone call from my phone. Police came kicking in the door. Next time, I got caught selling LSD in 11th grade, and the police kicked in my door and found pot in my house and locked my dad up for it.
Fuck.
Yeah.
How'd you get involved with these guys?
Just growing up in the neighborhood I grew up in. I mean, it was a pretty good, it's not a good neighborhood, but it was, a medium income neighborhood. But, us kids just kind of ran the place. We did whatever we wanted to. So.
Yeah. And then that transition to you doing a little bit more than that.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. It's always been intrigued, and it's always intrigued me how, especially with children, how we make decisions. Because obviously in our adult life, you don't make the same decisions that you would.
Of course.
With them. So how have you taught, or how would you teach somebody that's, or even your son that, is 7 years old now?
Yeah.
How have you shifted your mentality on being a dad versus being a son?
Yeah, I've shifted my mentality of thinking about how other people see me and view my actions now. I never really cared. I did whatever made me feel good, and I didn't care or think twice about the rest. And I think I mentioned the other day when we were at dinner, I went to court one time, and a lady that I had stolen her car, she was pregnant. She was 8 months pregnant. And when I went to court, they sentenced me, whatever, blah, blah. And the judge was like, does anybody have anything to say?
How old were you at the time?
I was 15 years old, 15 and a half.
You were stealing cars at 15?
Younger than that.
Damn.
Yeah. So, the lady stood up and said, I just want to say that, when you stole my car, I was 8 months pregnant. I had a doctor's appointment the next day, and my car was my life. It was all I had. That and my apartment was all I had, and I was a pregnant mother getting ready to have a baby, and you stole it, and you wrecked it. And I never forgot the way that feels. And I think about it today, my wife's almost 8 months pregnant. If someone was to steal her car, thankfully we're in a position now that we would have something else for her to drive. But if that was all she had, and if she was alone and someone stole her car, I would be out for blood, and I just think about that, and I try to, like I said, just treat people with respect now, and think about how my actions affect other people.
Yeah. What were you doing with these cars?
Nothing special, nothing good. We would take it. So back in the day, we used to be able to steal a neon with a rock and a butter knife.
What?
Yeah, you could steal a Dodge Neon with a rock and a butter knife. There was a little glow ring around the ignition. You would just stick that butter knife in between that glow ring, take the rock, hit it on the end, pull it back, and the little cast casing would just snap, and you could lift the cylinder right out, stick your butter knife in there, and turn it and go. And we would go and we'd play demolition derby with these cars. I mean, we would. God. Yeah, it was terrible. I don't like
just neons.
No, any Dodge really, like Dodge Dakotas, neons, Jeep Grand Cherokees, Jeep Wranglers. Like, it was bad.
That was like 30 years ago. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Statute of limitations.
Yeah, we're good.
Gone. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we would just go and play with them, man. Just go and fool around. We were 13 years old, and we did whatever we wanted with no regard for anyone else.
Where would you demolition derby in Baltimore?
So if you go out towards like Bowley's Quarters and like Martin's Air Force Base, there's a lot of like back windy roads with deep ditches down on the side. A lot of those cars would end up in those ditches.
You think they're still there?
No, I'm sure they're probably gone now. At least I would hope so. I would hope they're not still there.
Yeah, there might be one or two left there.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. So, we didn't do anything good with them, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's childhood, children being kids. So you can't, obviously, I hope you want to do that now. I thought the rock would have been to break the window.
I get a lot of things happen to me now where I could sit there and claim that, this is unfair. Someone's targeting me. But I just chalk it up to karma. Like, if bad things happen to me, it's because I created bad things in other people's lives. And if good things happen to me, it's because I created good things in other people's lives. And that's how I try to live my life. I don't steal. I don't look at things and envy for them anymore. If I want something, I buy it. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't in a position to do that then. And it just feels good to know that my hard work has put me in a place that my bad crime could never get me. Never. No matter how many cars you steal, it's never yours. But if you work hard and you go out and buy a car, it's yours. You can walk out and look at it. It could be a Mustang, but to you it looks like a Lamborghini. And me, I'm proud of my Mustang. Like, I'm proud of everything I have. And I was never proud of anything I had, but I never worked for it. So
you deserve it now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know if I deserve it. I've just worked for it, and I don't like the word deserved, earned, maybe, or I don't know. But I try to, it's mine one way or another. And I'm not willing to let some stupid crime or fight or anything like that or some road rage, take it away.
Yeah.
There's so much that could take it away at any time.
Yeah. Well, and especially when you get behind, with 15 and a half or 16 and a half, you basically have taken all your liberties away. And now you're...
Yeah.
Where'd they put you, at the top of the mountain?
So originally, when they locked me up the first time, they put me at South Mountain. It's in South Mountain, PA. It's literally like out in between, I think, Hanover and like somewhere central, like where 70 kind of goes up. Yeah. Yep. When I ran from there and they finally locked me up, they put me in Danville. So up in Bloomsburg, there's like a...
How do you run from there?
I didn't run from there. I ran from boot camp. So boot camp...
Sorry, we got to get into it.
I know. So in boot camp, when you get there, they give you a couple things. They give you a pair of gray sweatpants, they give you a pair of tennis shoes, they give you a white shirt, and they give you this belt. And on the belt, it has a canteen and a poncho. The poncho is held in by like a strap, and the canteen is held on your belt by these 2 pins. So your belt goes in, 2 pins go down and lock itself in. Well, I had stolen cars with a rock and a butter knife, so I figured maybe one of these pins was just about as close to a butter knife as I could get. So I was there for about 2 days, and I watched one of the drill instructors pretty much induce an asthma attack in a kid. PT'd him until he was half dead. And I was not willing to go through that or witness that or be around that. And I made up my mind that day. I was like, I'm not staying here. And I only had a 60-day sentence, but I was not staying there. And to backtrack a little bit, like there was one kid there that had red sweatpants. And I'm like, what's with the red sweatpants? He's like, he tried to run. I'm like, what a dumbass. Because when I go, they're not catching me. So I kind of remembered my way up there.
It was the middle of nowhere?
It was the middle of nowhere, bro. Like on top of a mountain in the Appalachian Mountains. Like I'm telling you.
What's
like,
up there? Just a cabin? They just run you through?
It was a camp, like it was
just
like
full on.
bullet barracks, a lunch hall, a mess hall, a sand pit for PTing people in. Like it was a legit. It kind of looks like Little Paris Island.
Damn.
And it was just in this clearing in the woods. And you know how woods are in Pennsylvania. They could go on for 10 feet or
Forever.
10 miles. You have no idea. Like, until you get a drone or you look at your Google Maps and you're like, I had no idea that was that close. Like, it's on the other side of this road. Thankfully, I remembered my way up there one morning. I kind of grabbed a broom, walked outside, started sweeping the little concrete pad that the barracks were on. I'm like, into the woods I went.
There was no fencing or anything around it?
Nope. I mean, all these kids are coming from Philly, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg. Like, they're not going to run out in the woods. They're terrified. You know what I mean? But me, I grew up playing in the woods. Like, I don't care. So I'm running through the woods. I'm running. I ended up making it to, like, another camp. Like, some kind of, I don't even know what it was. Just a building. And I saw a neon there, and I was like, I can get this. So I get in, and I'm prying at the, I'm like, my hands were gushing blood. I am desperately tearing at this ignition, like trying to get out of here because I did not want to go back there. They were going to kill me, I'm prying and prying. My hands are gushing blood. Finally, I was able to, finagle it out, and I started the car. I'm like, oh, thank God. And I left. I got back to Baltimore, and I called my mom, and she's crying on the phone. She's like, what did you do? How could you, why would you do this? You only had 60 days. Now they're going to lock you up for a long time. And I was like, I just couldn't stay there. So she's like, you need to call your PO. So I'm at we have payphones back then. I call my PO, and I'm like, Tony, it's Justin. He's like, what do you want? I'm like, well, what kind of deal do you want to make me? He's like, deal? He's like, I'll give you one chance. You come home, you come back, you turn yourself in, or I'll hunt you down. He's like, I'll find you one way or another.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I'm gonna.
So you thought you had all the leverage?
I thought I had a lot of leverage because I'm free walking around. He's like, yeah, you'd be free as long as you want till I catch you. And I knew he'd catch me. He was just a super sneaky guy. He'd show up at my house at weird hours. Like, it was, he's
from Baltimore.
This was in York. In York
Okay.
County.
So you were living in York at the
time?
time?
Yeah, my parents were in York. So that all happened. I turned myself in, and that's when, like I said, they threw me in the super secure unit.
How long were you in there?
About 18 months, I think, about a year and a half. The scary thing was when I went to sentencing for it, they were like, okay, we're sending you to North Central Treatment Secure Unit. Bam. And I was like, wait, how long? Like, you told the last kid 6 months. You told the kid before him 3 months. How long do I have? He's like, you just have to complete the program. I'm like, well, how long is the program? He's like, until you complete it.
How old were you?
I was about 17 by that point.
So is it still juvenile?
Yep. Still juvenile, because it had all stemmed from, like, the original charges. It was just, like, violation of probation after absconding from boot camp, you know what I mean? So it's just like, all right, bro, we're going to lock you up, throw away the key, we'll let you know when you're free. And it sucked so bad because of the first, 3 months. They're like, okay, the program's 18 months. And I'm like, 18 months? Like, what do you mean? And, obviously the kids cycle in, and as I'm seeing people leaving and new kids coming in, like, I'm working my way up the ranks, and then I'm watching kids leave that came in after me, and I'm like, what is going on here? You know, and my PO would come up and visit and be like, heard you got restrained last week. What was that all about? And heard you didn't want to come out of your room. Heard they flipped you off your mattress and took all your furniture and left you in your room laying on the floor last week. What happened? I was hard-headed, man. That's what ultimately happened. I didn't like being told no. I thought I could buck the system and win, and I couldn't.
Damn.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Was it worth the 18 months then? Did not be 2 months up at the hill?
You know, I say this a lot. A lot of my friends while I was away got hooked on Oxycontin and oxycodone. You know how big the opiate problem is on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I've had friends pass away. I've had friends overdose. I've had friends murder people and end up in prison for the rest of their life. And the fact that I wasn't able to be there because I was locked up makes me thankful. So I'm still friends with a few of the counselors there, you know, because I remember days, and it's funny, when you were a decent kid in lockup, you get to sit in these nice cushioned chairs, right, in the TV room or whatever. Well, when you acted up and you got put on, I think it was called restrainment or something, I don't know, you had to like write all these papers, how bad you sucked and how terrible of a kid you were and how we weren't going to do it again. You had to sit on these hard chairs in the back of the room, you know, and when the TV came on, you had to turn your chair around. Jeez. It was terrible, right?
They put you in red pants too, just like the one kid?
Yeah, pretty close. No, but, you know, I remember sitting in that room and people would come in and be like, you know, one or two of you is going to make it.
How many kids would be in there?
About 35, 40 kids.
Whoa.
And I'd look around and say, I wonder who the other kid is. Because I'm not doing this no more.
So you had a good upbringing?
I mean, essentially, yeah. I mean, until I was about 10, 11 when I started doing my own thing. I had a great upbringing. Like, I never, ever remember my parents fighting. I don't remember them fighting at all. Never. It's just one day they called me upstairs, and it just so happens that I was watching the Wonder Years episode of The Sex Talk, and my parents call me upstairs. I'm downstairs, and they're like, hey, Justin, come upstairs real quick. And I come up, and I sit at the table. I'm like, is this the talk? And they look at each other, and they're like, we're getting a divorce. And I was just like, bam, smacked in the face. Like, I was like, what? I mean, I remember, like, crying crazy, like, sitting in my mom's lap, sitting with my dad. I mean, I was 9 years old. And they had no idea where the talk came from, you know. And then years later, I was like, hey, do you know where? And I told them, they're like, oh my God, when you said that, we thought that we, like, had shown you that we didn't love each other anymore, or that you picked up that, like, we weren't going to be together anymore. And I was like, never. Like, not once did I ever feel like my parents weren't a team, you know.
Did you have siblings, or was it just you?
I have siblings. I have a sister on my mom's side from a previous marriage who's 6 years older than me, and I have a brother and a sister on my dad's side from a previous marriage that are 6 and like 8 years older than me.
But you were just there in that home?
Yeah, it was just me, full time. So, but you know what? Again, everything happens for a reason. My mom married my stepdad. He's just like my dad. My dad's happy with his girlfriend of 20 years. You know, you can't be selfish in life. You have to just want whatever people want. You know, you can't control them. You can't tell them anything. You just gotta let them live their life and make their own choices. And I'm glad that I've done that, because all of us are pretty happy now.
I could tell. I mean, hanging out with your mom and
they're right.
Oh my gosh, they're a blast.
Yeah.
And just seeing how you interact with them too. Even your mom telling the stories as well when we were all at dinner. It's just so cool to see it, and she laughs about it now. Where you're at. I don't think I wanted to ask her 20 years ago, but seeing about it now.
No, you wouldn't have liked the answer.
Seeing about it now.
But yeah, it's cool. I mean, it is nice that we can talk to each other about it now, and I mean, she'll still give me shit, but you know, she's happy that I am where I am, and that essentially made me who I was. And
100%.
Yeah.
All right, so obviously you went through a lot as a child, from getting in trouble all the way up to basically having to make the decision to step away and move out and go all across the world to follow a girl and have a girl follow you and be where you're at. But as we see in this industry, is a lot of people deal with the mental strains and not able to have that breakthrough that they would like. and it's difficult. It's difficult to to see that every single day. But you're an inspiration to all of us because of what you went through to where you are today. So can you speak about that just a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about earlier that our circles kind of define us and kind of take us in the direction that we're gonna go in. I chose the wrong circle of friends, but luckily I was blessed with the right mom to kind of be that one constant the whole way through. With everything I put her through, she still stayed there. So, I think the most important thing and most important reason that I wanted to kind of change my life and my direction is because I wanted my parents to be proud of the kid that they made. And I watched them for so many years be embarrassed by my actions. And to hear that they're proud of me now just means more than anything. So, with that said, my mom also married the right man who held me accountable, who taught me how to be a husband, a father, and a good person. And not everybody's blessed with it. We talked, you lost your dad at a young age. I had my dad, but he wasn't really there. And so that took a toll. But, you can't let past experiences define the rest of your life. It's up to you to kind of get out of your own way, and you can't do it on your own. You just can't do it on your own. I've been blessed with mentors, people that took an interest in me when I definitely didn't deserve it. And I don't know why or how, but something stuck. And from each one of those people, I was able to create like a new me. So I'm still a work in progress every day. But at least now I know that every day when I wake up, I'm moving forward and not looking over my shoulder and worrying about what I did. That was probably the worst part about it, was the constant running and looking and watching. Now I don't do that because I don't hurt people. So my advice for people out there, besides using Urable as your shop software, would be to seek out a mentor, someone that you can relate to somehow, any level. It doesn't matter if, you both like art, food, model RC cars, drywall, doing things with your hands. And in our business, there's a lot of people that claim to be mentors and claim to want to better you. But it's up to you to decide who those people are, and who's a right fit. And with that said, you just got to kind of look for what you want to be in other people and surround yourself with those people. Yep. Because you are who you hang out with.
Yeah, we gotta give a lot of props to our moms. Your mom's here, my mom's out in Pennsylvania right now. But the cool part is, like you said, is that when you get that, 'cause losing my dad, when it's difficult watching your mom go through pain, but she didn't ever show it. but you could feel it. Like you're sitting there as a child and you're 13, you're like, oh my God, my mom just lost the love of her life, and not just that, she's now stuck with 5 kids who are all in high school, middle school, elementary school. You know, our sister was young, super young, like didn't even have the sense of a first friend, kind of young, first best friend. So see my mom now, not put a sense, like you could tell she had pain, but she never show it. You could feel it, which also speaks to the power of the people around you. You can feel the energy, but you can never actually see it out of her. And we were not easy kids. I mean, we were crazy, every single one of us. I mean, we were brothers, you know, getting in fights, you know, getting in trouble at school, not being the best students. But we always came home to a super loving mom who always supported us. At the end of the day, she still, you know, she says, I'm sorry. But I'm like, what are you sorry for? When she, you know, a couple of things I wanted to do in life, she goes, you just don't do this. You know, just trust me. And I did. And she always said, I'm sorry for not allowing you to do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? If it wasn't for you teaching me that, I would never be the man I am today. So I'm thankful for that. You were not just a mom, you were a mom and a dad all at the same time. That's what's powerful for me with her.
Moms are tough.
Moms are tough,
They're
man.
super resilient.
You know,
They'll forgive you for some crazy shit.
They will, because they love you.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I tell the guys that at the shop every single day, not every day, but when they ask, I say, hey, you gotta have the mom mentality when you're here. You can have a dad man, you know, you can have dad mentality, but you gotta have the mom mentality. Because mothers love, they support, and just like you said, when you fuck up, guess what? Your mom's still hugging you. And she's gonna say, hey, you fucked up, but let's make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta have mom mentality all the time. So I know we're empty right now, but I'm sure we're gonna cheers one up when we get back.
I have
But
a little bit left. Last
cheers,
one.
yeah, cheers to the moms in this industry, because, you know, circles are key. If it wasn't for the circle I had when my dad passed away, you know, all my friends that I'm still super close with today. Like I remember when and even Reed being here, we went back to school the next day after he passed. Or maybe it was 2 days later. Yeah, it was 2 days later. And everyone was just shocked to see us there, but every single person came and gave us a hug.
Wow.
And we just wanted to be back with our friends. But they didn't see that. They saw the pain that we had, and they're like, oh my God, what do you guys just go through? But the cool part is what our mom taught us, and our dad, I guess a big one to our dad, is that no matter what, you always gotta be happy. Every situation, there's a happy side to it. Like, sure, it sucked losing our dad at a young age, but guess what? I'm the most happy that I was able to know him for those 13 years, because he was, his laugh, his smile, his personality was electric. Still rings through us every single day. I still feel it every single day.
That's awesome.
And that's what's powerful about, you know, losing our father. Obviously, it sucks not having him here. I'd love for my wife to have met him. That's a tough part.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's just a beautiful thing in certain situations that you go through. It's the outcome that comes out of it, but it's the breakthrough in the circle and the people and the support, you know, getting to know you, getting to know everybody, all the people around us, having those mentors. That's what's important. You can't just be stuck inside.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't. I mean, I had struggled for so long alone, and once I opened up, everything kind of changed, man.
Yeah. So thank you, bro.
Yeah, thanks
you. Thanks for opening up and being a part of this.
Absolutely.
Thanks to all the moms out there and the dads. Thanks to every single one of you. Thanks to everybody for checking into this one. This was absolutely incredible. So Justin, thanks for you and your whole team. Everybody at Detailers Las Vegas. Thank you to Michael, Chris, and Kyle for allowing every single one of us to do this, and Cinescope for filming it. Make sure you go on to yourable.com, go to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, follow all the Your Stories that we've done. Like, subscribe, and share them with everybody you possibly can. Thank you so much for checking in. As always, keep shining.
Thanks, guys.